Pants Free Podcast.
Robin Thicke?
Niky Thicke.
Niky? You're changing your name to Niky Thicke?
Yeah. You talk about blurred lines. I talk about the thick behinds. Don't drop that You know you want it. You know you love it.
Niky Thicke, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello and welcome to another fantastic edition of the Pants Free Podcast. Pants never required. On this episode, we learn why sometimes it's better to just keep your mouth shut. Here now is your host, Balonius Francine Marconi, and his podcast compadre, Nick Miles.
Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Pants Free Podcast. Nick is back! Yay! Thanks again to Sierra Cake, my girlfriend, who is now on another podcast with me, Nick, called the Me Plus Cake Podcast.
Oh, I like it when you get together with various inanimate objects.
How dare you?
What? Is that wrong?
You didn't listen to last week's podcast? Sierra Cake filled in for you? She even wished you well.
What I said to you is I like it when you get together with various inanimate objects.
It's insinuating that my girlfriend isn't real.
She's called Cake, isn't she?
You obviously didn't listen to last week's podcast. So anyway, we'll forgive Nick for being delirious or something. But Nick, you're back and we're on iHeartRadio.
Yeah, and which is a good thing.
So if you're listening to us on iHeartRadio, thank you for checking us out. Subscribe to all of our stuff. Click the links and blah, blah, blah. You know, that kind of thing. At pantsfreepod.com. Nick,
blah, blah.
You've been off for a while. We've been on hiatus, and now you're back. What have you been up to?
Well, I had to go to England. We talked.
We talked a bit about that, I think, yeah.
Then I was at Pebble Beach for a week, which is the biggest, classic motor show in the world, where I sat in a Ferrari that sold for $27.5 million.
And now, because we've talked about your stomach was bananaed.
Yeah.
How much weight have you lost since the beginning of your surgery or whatever?
About 32 pounds. I've been plateauing for the last month or so.
And how do you feel, though? I mean, because that's like a major thing to have done.
I'd like to show you, but...
No, don't show... Oh, God, don't show me.
He
showed me you got on Skype last time and shoved that in my face, that scar that I was just like, ugh.
I got on Skype last time and then I lost you. And then what? Yourself?
I couldn't look away from it.
Oh, I wouldn't look away from it either. I'm delicious. I have a beard now too.
You do?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna. I mean,
you're not ready. I know you're not ready.
I'm not ready for that. I don't think I am. I don't think I've ever seen you bearded before. I didn't even know you could grow facial hair. I wasn't quite sure, you know?
Oh, yeah. Hobbits can be hairy, especially our feet.
HairyHobbits.com. Go look for that.
Yeah,
it's a special club. So I'm irritated by the littlest things, and I try to be evolved and better, but I don't know why. It really irritates me when I'm at a grocery store or any kind of store at all, and I look around when I get in my car, and there are 1,000 carts just shoved into parking spaces and not just put back. Why don't people do that?
Because Americans are lazy by name and lazy by nature.
It really irritates me to the point where sometimes I'll get out and take like a dozen carts and put them back. I don't even know. It's just one of those things. And the other day, you know how some stores have those mini carts? They're not those gigantic ones you get like at Walmart, but they're like the mini carts with like an upper and lower deck. Well, somebody had just, and this is serious, they pushed it all the way up to the front of the store and just rested the front two wheels on the curb in front of the door of the store. And I'm like, you couldn't push it 2 more feet into the store? Really? So I picked it up, and while doing that, I dropped the cart on my kneecap.
Oh. And
it's not like it's broken, but anytime I put any pressure on my knee or any kind of anything, it feels like a horse is stepping on me.
I don't want any horse to be stepping on you.
No, I know. I don't know. But nothing makes you feel old than when you get an injury. Am I right?
Especially those groin injuries, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Injuries that stop you functioning, like standing up out of a chair and going to the bathroom, then that's when you're old.
Yeah, but I mean, this one, like, I get into bed and I put my knee on the bed to get in, and and I've got all that pain, and I'm like, I feel like an old man. My girlfriend just laughs at me. Ha ha! You did a good deed, and you broke your kneecap.
Did she say, you're too old to possibly fulfill your manly functions?
How dare you?
Well, who knows?
How dare you even consider that
routine? But I'm
I am a young, virile man, and there's nothing going to stop me from doing that.
Yeah, even a bad knee won't stop you.
Hey, you're just making more work for me to edit this podcast, aren't you? You bastard.
You won't edit any of that out.
This is the Pants Free Podcast. Pants Free Podcast. Pants never required.
Well, a good thing that we have bumpers that cut Nick off when he's going too far with any conversation. And a good thing, too, is that we have a fine sponsor and now proud to expose him to the world on iHeartRadio, Dave's Killer Bread.
Oh, yeah. Dave's Killer Bread should be on iHeartRadio. It's deliciously iHearty.
I think Nick just yawned through that. What was that, yawn?
Oh, yeah. No.
Dave's Killer.
It was a Bob Newhart moment.
Did I wake you up from a nap? What's going on? No, Dave's Killer Bread is, if you haven't tried it, daveskillerbread.com is a good way to find out if there's a store near you that carries it. We've been enjoying it for years from Portland, Oregon, and Dave is a great guy and a friend of the podcast. So I suggest that if you haven't ever even heard of Dave's Killer Bread, that you get on it. It's all over California. It's all over Colorado. Going to New York. I might even be in New York now. Washington. Where isn't it? I think Nevada is next. And it's great to see, to me, one of the best breads that I've ever tried, making such inroads in so many places.
I wonder if they have it at Area 52 in Nevada.
Well, we can only hope.
Aliens try the Dave's Killer Breads?
I hope so. Maybe it'll be an interglobal, interplanetary bread.
It's a peace message right there.
Yeah.
The peace pipe bread. Just
say no to bread on drugs. Try it now. See if it's near you. daveskillerbread.com.
Pants-free news.
Nick, this is the time of the podcast where we get serious, and we take the conversation to the next level, where we cover this week in pants-free news.
Who gets 35 years for a loose mouth?
Usually that would give you a contract, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
no,
probably.
Bradley Manning is sentenced to 35 years for leaking government secrets. I think the first secret was the 13 ingredients in the Colonel's special recipe for Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Right, and that's definitely a jailable offense.
Well, yeah, I mean that is a national treasure.
Actually, but this isn't the end of the story, because this is probably the beginning of the story. I mean, this is one of those stories where I'm highly confused. I feel bad because he violated his country's, my country's policies on... Joey! We're talking about Bradley Manning, not you. Shut the up.
Wow. I never heard a guy curse at his dog before, but...
Interrupting my Bradley Manning pinnacle soapbox speech.
So Bradley Manning, will he go to jail for 35 years? No parole?
So he has appeals. There are, I think, 3 stages of appeals. He can appeal to the Army Court, he can appeal to the Pentagon, and then appeal to the Supreme Court. So there's 3 levels of appeals he could do. But I'm bittersweet. I think he shouldn't have done what he did, but I think also some of the things that were exposed about our government, I think that we should have, we're not the right things to happen.
So you're saying that you don't feel like he did the right thing, but maybe 35 years is a little harsh?
I don't think he did the right thing. I think he went too far. But at the same time, if he'd gone to his bosses and said, hey, this is illegal, we shouldn't be doing this as a country, do you think they would have given it? No, I think he was left with no choice.
You know what you do, audience, internets, people, iHeartRadio fans?
America.
If you have a secret you want kept, you give it to Nick J. Miles. He knows things about me that he'll go to his grave knowing.
Yeah, and I've been having therapy to try and get them out of my head.
It's the news!
Out of the frying pan, into the fire. He gets shot when he escapes jail.
Out of the frying pan, huh? You just made me think of breakfast.
Oh, Dave's Killer Bread with a little bacon.
Oh man. See, I like the way you just integrated a product with. Anyway, there's a husband in Iowa kills an escaped inmate who held him and his wife hostage.
Yeah, I mean, I probably killed him too.
Well, I mean, that's what they always say, and they always talk about gun laws and stuff like that. When people enter your home, this is what the gun laws protect. So you can, protect your family.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the plan. I don't know how much danger he was really in. You'll never really know that. But technically, he could have been killed at any moment, and so he took his life into his, he took this guy's life into his hands and then killed him.
Yeah, and I don't know. And I've watched several lately. I've been watching a lot of documentaries on serial killers and stuff like that and their ways. And I could tell you that I don't think I would be able to help myself if someone hurt anybody in my family or even a pet. If you screw with them or kill them in some way,
Right.
I cannot be held accountable for what I might do to you. But don't you think most people feel that way? And,
I mean, I definitely do, and I think you're right. I think that there's a reason I sleep with a loaded Glock next to my pillow at night.
No, a loaded sock, Nick. That's a whole different thing.
Oh, sock.
Yeah.
A loaded sock. Okay, sorry, I read it wrong. The budget Asian airline is getting rid of the little people.
Oh, yeah. I heard about this. This airline is making it so there's kid-free zones in the plane.
One of the problems we always have with flying is the fact that you've got a lot of underage kids or 12-year-old and below kids sitting on the plane being really loud. So now this Singapore-based budget airline carrier has a quiet zone on the plane.
I don't mind kids if they're upset on a plane, like a little baby. Sometimes babies cry. But what I hate is toddlers who just scream at the top of their lungs for no reason, and parents do nothing.
Yeah, they should. Yes, that's wrong. I mean, I know there's some sort of sympathy with kids on a plane, but sympathy only goes so far. I think they'll get loads and loads of people buying tickets. So people are going to be interested in traveling without kids.
Well, but it's not even that they're without kids. It's just there's a child-free zone. There's like quiet zones on the plane, right?
Right.
So how can they guarantee that? I don't understand.
Well, they don't. It's a different cabin.
Oh. So like there's a separation of the cabins? Yeah. All right, I see. So the kids have their playroom. Maybe that's the answer. There's a playroom on the plane.
That might be a good idea. But
just like at IKEA, they just shove your kids into a giant room with a bunch of strangers and then take off and shop for furniture that you have to put together.
Oh, now you're talking. Life can suck for a lot of people, but it sucks even more when your dad's a multi-billionaire and then you choke to death on a piece of steak.
Yeah, well, the IBM guy, what can't I remember his name? One of the guys that brought IBM out of the muck or whatever. His son choked to death in a cafe, on a diner, on some steak.
Louis Gerstner is his name. He's a 71-year-old man, and his son was Louis Gerstner Jr.
And I guess the owner said he was by himself, and he fell backwards on his hip, and he hit his head.
Yeah.
And they weren't quite sure what was happening because he was knocked out.
Yeah, and it's still not. I mean, the cause of death has still not been confirmed, so they're presuming he choked.
So he may have been on drugs, and it just caused his airway to be blocked, or whatever. He was not really able to eat food in his condition or something.
Right.
Wow, that's. I mean, if of all the ways to go, like when you eventually die, how do you want it to end?
I would like to go in my sleep peacefully in the middle of the night.
Everybody says that, though. But I just hope it's not somewhere where my ass is hanging out or it's a big national story.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because God forbid people would see your ass when you die.
I don't want that. I don't want anybody seeing my anus or taint or any of those parts of my body.
What about those of us that have seen them already?
That's well, lucky you.
When news breaks, we're the first there to mock it.
Dr. Phil causing problems again.
Yeah, I don't understand this. He drunk tweeted. Did he drunk tweet?
Well, we don't know really if he was drunk, but he tweeted something about sex and kids or sex and young ladies and then deleted it immediately. Dr. Phil asks, is it okay to have sex with a drunk girl?
Oh, yeah. If a girl is drunk...
is it okay to have sex with her? Reply yes or no at Dr. Phil.
I don't understand what the big deal is.
I don't know. Was he asking because he was in a situation he needed advice? That would be even more trouble.
Yeah, was Dr. Phil looking for advice? It doesn't sound like something he would probably tweet. Maybe he was hacked, but it's weird that people are making such a big deal out of kind of nothing, really. And it wasn't like he was saying underage girl. He just said girl.
Right.
So
but when you don't usually say girl, you say woman.
You do?
So, yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. If you're in the media, I don't know how you refer to them.
Maybe. I guess if you're Dr. Phil, you wouldn't. I don't know. But it doesn't sound like anything he would say. It also sounds like maybe, because he's referring to some story, Teens Accused. That's what the hashtag is.
Right.
So maybe he's referring to some... Doesn't it look like he just wants... If that's the case, that he would just want somebody's opinion?
I know, but all these TV stations all over the networks are running it this morning. I was getting, info from Connecticut and all these stations that were running the story.
Is it okay? It's not okay for him to ask a question on his Twitter?
I don't know. The question is, I don't know. Why was he asking the question? That's what I want to know. Because he needed advice? That worries me more.
It doesn't sound like something he would personally need advice for, but it sounds like maybe he's doing a television show and wants to get response from people to use on his show, probably.
Maybe, yeah. So
anybody that was responding to that would end up as part of the conversation on his television show, I'm guessing.
Right.
So I don't understand how that's bad, but, and I'm not even a huge Dr. Phil fan. I just don't get why this is such a big deal.
I think his show topics are interesting, but I'm not a fan.
This thing says the doctor sparked outrage after tweeting about sexual assault in a yes or no question format. A change.org petition was created hours later calling for an apology. People need to just calm down.
I know. It's just like, who cares?
Right.
People who choked on a bit of meat earlier on in the day have bigger problems.
Please, for the love of God, buy our merchandise. Shirts, mugs, iPhone and iPad cases, stickers, magnets, and so much more. Simply click on the merch link at pantsfreepod.com.
Well, Nick, there you have it. Another fantastic edition of the Pants Free Podcast, now heard on iHeartRadio.
And I actually did the show without pants on today.
Well, yeah. I mean, what do you mean? Are there times when you've done the show with pants on?
Only drawn. I have a pair of pants I sometimes draw on myself, but I didn't even have those today. Wow.
I wore rubber pants once. Is that anything?
As long as it wasn't hot and sweaty.
You know it was.
Use lots of talc. Gold Bond is your friend with rubber pants.
We will be back once again next time. For further details on the Pants Free Podcast, head to our podcast page at pantsfreepod.com. Pretty simple. I'm Balonius Francine Marconi, along with Nick J. Miles, who's saying...
I was going to have steak for dinner, but now I'm afraid of choking.
Too soon. Pantalones a libero.
Pants Free Podcast.